Good evening, and thanks for joining me. I'm going to be channeling tonight. I'm planning to channel Anubis. More guests might come in, I'm not sure. I had some questions of my own, and I wanted to talk about some of the things that people of the world have been doing for a long time that is slowly but quickly coming to the surface. So I think he's going to shed some light on that. So I thought we'd start off with asking him some questions about who he is. Finish this tea really quick. Alright, let's begin. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Should we scoot up? Okay. I'm not sure how this is going to go. I might break in and out to ask questions and give commentary. I'm not sure. Let's just see what happens with Anubis. I am Anubis, and I am here to answer your queries and to illuminate some areas that are becoming of concern to the human population. I, like all of you, started my journey as spirit, and eventually I made my way into what you call incarnations of various kinds. One in particular in which I spent much time on your planet in your perceived past. Since that time, I have returned to spirit in your language. That is to say, my incarnations are relatively finished or less specific, and I am now a larger energy that is outside of body, space, and time. But this is where I began, and this is where you all begin. And the end is the beginning. I came to you on your planet in your times of Atlantis, approximately 30 to 32,000 years ago in your time. When I first arrived, I was primarily spirit form, and through time, I developed physical density. Some of the people on the planet could perceive me, some of them could not. Even in my physical beingness, it was hard to interpret my presence. So those who had already begun to dive down into the physical world, some of them could not understand what I was. In fact, throughout time and in the beginning of my visit to your planet, many were afraid of me. I am considered the guardian of the gates. In ancient Egypt philosophy, I was considered to be leader, as it were, of the underworld. In other words, the spiritual realm, in which many beings painted, human beings painted myself on their tombs before passing, or on papyri before passing, to be placed and buried with them. Of course, this is many years later, I'm jumping ahead. But I got to the point where, over time, people began to understand a little bit of the nature of that which I am and what I do. And so for those, and for any who could hear me, I would answer that call upon their transition, and I would help them remember who they really were. Though many did not know this is what they were asking for, this is what they were doing when they would inscribe my name and pictorials and things associated with me onto their tomb walls and papyri that were later placed in the tombs upon their passing. This became a great practice closer to the time period that you are familiar with, leading up until 1300 BC. From that point on, these dates are not precise, but thereabouts 1300 BC, much change began occurring in your world. And so much information came to be destroyed. So, though the practice of utilizing my name and being for the underworld continued, the reasons why became lost over time. But I am simply a gatekeeper helping those to remember who they are. Eventually, as I said, I did manifest into the physical form, what you might call flesh, although my beingness was what you might say different than yours. Hence, the many depictions of myself with the head of a jackal. I worked closely at that time preceding my entry into Egypt with the beings that many of you have names for, but primarily leading up to my time entering Egypt, the time in Atlantis, so to say, was primarily spent working with the being that you know as Bast or Bastet. In your language today, you could understand our connection as one of being twin flames. We worked together with other beings mentioned in the epics. In the early times, during Atlantis, Atlantis had already been flourishing for thousands of years by the time we entered, I entered, Bast returned. We came to join the being that you know as Isis in Atlantis. Over time periods, we helped train those individuals of Atlantis in the concepts of truth and reality, where many beings in Atlantis chose alternate paths, and eventually we led many to colonize the lands which you now call Egypt. So I assisted with this passageway as well, more behind the scenes than in flesh. But I called to those and I helped with others to guide those beings who wished to leave the turmoils of Atlantis to colonize in Egypt, where they were to remain safe during the storms and the cataclysms, the ones that were still living at that time, because that came much later. Over time, much wisdom was garnered in Atlantis, particularly with the use of crystals and gems, but more so, energy. Eventually, as can be seen in your world today, patterns of greed arose, and the choice was made by many to pursue a path that was more dark. In truth, this has all been part of the plan, so to speak, although we are careful to use words like plan and destiny and fate because they are not solid, let's say. But this was expected by some of us, and we were prepared to assist in this direction, allowing those who wish to choose the more dark path to do so in their lands, which they continue to do. This is a later pattern that arose in different times, as well as in the past, prior. Again, this arose in your times of ancient Egypt, following the flood, leading up to the flood of Atlantis and following. There was much misuse of power and crystal power and energy power even after the flood of Atlantis. And again today, you will see patterns that reemerge that are the same, such as during World War II, and similar themes that you can see on the planet today, although arguably they are not being enacted as they have been in the past. In your times, you can understand nuclear devastation. This was a similar effect through the use of crystal technology at the time of the sinking of Atlantis. They began focusing more on intelligent rationale over what the heart believed and desired. And eventually, the heart became a quiet voice that was no longer heard by many of them, and many of them continued down this dark path that led to destruction of parts of the planet. Not the first, there have been other changes along the planet's history, both coming from internal, that which you may call Gaia, or the planet Earth, or Terra, and also coming externally from forces unseen, somewhat known to some of your ancient civilizations, but not by all. The channel was wanting to address issues involving your planetary governments and groups who are in control, perceived control, that is to say, who have been pulling strings on your planet for some time, unbeknownst to the populace, and this is how they have maintained said perceived control, which is simply that, a perception, but a very real carrying out of a philosophy, let's say. I will touch again on this in a moment. There are many beings throughout your history that were here to assist in the development of humankind, as well as today there are much more involved. Also, throughout points in your history, there have been beings in contact with beings who have ulterior motives, such as those in the civilization of Atlantis, through their desire, they were allowed access to other technologies and other beings from other realms and other worlds who had a desire for control. Most of these beings would seem to possess more power than the civilizations of Atlantis, and so in Atlantis, as in Egypt multiple times, the humans tended to cower in fear and consider these beings gods, and they did the same with us as well. We left a long time ago, approximately 15,000 years ago, 17,000 years ago. not all of us left at the same time. Your histories are inaccurate in terms of time stamps. Your histories that you are aware of with ancient Egypt are correct in concerns with human activity from about 3000 BC to date. There are many stories that are shared from that time onward in the hieroglyphs and in the stories and pictures that have to do with us, but those stories were passed down. Some of those stories were carved when we were there. Many of them continued to be carved into stone and papyri after we left. At a certain point nearing the end of Atlantis, it was no longer appropriate for us to stay, given the direction of the planet and of the people, especially in the colony of Egypt. We were there to help when we could, and we did what we could, and then we had to leave, because we respect free will. It is fair to say that those with nefarious intent, otherworldly beings, also respect free will, but in a way that you might not be comfortable with yet. So we allowed them, because there are no rules, and therefore it became a time where it was not appropriate for us to stay. But I continued and continue to assist those in Egypt, as well as throughout the globe and throughout your galaxy and all galaxies. I assist beings in transition, souls you might call them. There are many connections with what I'm talking about in terms of history and stories of this planet and other planets and other worlds. But for the purposes of this discussion, we will keep it to Atlantis and primarily Egypt. Indeed, the beasts of your planet are quite in tune with happenings. That is also to say, they are quite in tune with themselves. And upon human observation, they seem to go to primal instincts which you have considered in your sciences until recently as being primitive and less than. But they are on equal and many times above level of the awareness of human individuals. And so out of respect, I allow all creatures to be as they are, as I allow all souls to be as they are. And I am simply here to guide those who ask for guidance. Indeed, the beasts of your planet are quite beautiful, and there's much that can be learned from them in their songs. But let us continue. The channel wanted me to discuss perhaps where things are headed in the near future with your planetary governments. There are many beings that are being made aware of the atrocities that have occurred and still occur to this day, both on your planet and off your planet. But worry not, as the channel has stated in personal messages, because At that time, there was also great assistance, and at this time, there is yet again and continues to be great assistance, both on that which you call the other side as well as your side. In fact, there are many at the ready to assist you, and primarily those in peril, danger, suffering. There are many beings that are suffering. This is the time of the great convergence, when all comes together as one. And so it is already happening, and many beings on your planet are being made aware or discovering some of the nefarious activities that your planet has contributed to and continues to feed energy into today. That is quickly changing. There are many beings on your planet who are aware of this and want to put a stop to it. So they are working from the inside as to how to do such things, along with help from the outside. And rest assured that beings off planet, human beings who are slaves and experimented like lab rats, like they did in World War II and in Japan, there is still experimentation that goes on today. And when the time is right, there will be many allies there to, in your words and language, rescue those who are ready to come home to Earth. Shall we pass along to a different speaker? Yes, greetings. This is no longer Anubis. This is a new voice. I am called Adama, and I am associated with your planetary times around the time of Atlantis in another landmass known as Lemuria. I continue to exist today in a form that is different than the previous speaker, Anubis. I still have what you would consider form, and I am still among you today. And I bring with you today for you messages of light and hope. I am a member of what is known as the Galactic Federation of Light, for there are many galactic federations, simply a human label, and in fact, physical label, let's say, to denote boundaries of intention. For there are many groups, and there are many with intentions to assist those that we love with information and experience that we carry. I bring to you tonight peace and love and light, and there are always plans for your planet, as there always have been. And more will be made known about that and what we have to do with that. But I am an ambassador of sorts for your species and for your planet, because I am here in sorts with you on the ground floor, although in a different way of speaking, but still among the planet. And I work with the beings in the Galactic Federation of Light to help and assist a smooth transition as possible for your planet, because as you are well aware, it is going through many transitions. Fear is a big thing that is being spread upon your planet, as it always was in your recent years. Fear is being exposed to the surface, and much attention has been placed by your species on fear for so much time, so it is of no surprise to us, and it should not be a surprise to you, that it is still a tool in which is trying to be implemented by certain individuals on your planet who wish to carry on the path of darkness. However, the times that you are living in are one of transition from dark, to light, as in the dawn, from dusk till dawn. And the rays of sun are starting to show, and the pink and magenta hues are coming up in your sky, metaphorically speaking, and we are here to assist in this transition. Indeed, these are glorious times that you are living, and on the surface level, of course, they may not appear as such to you, or may seem that way, but I would like to reiterate the fact that fear is a large tool used by a small percentage of your human population to keep you feeding into their strategies of belief, yet you, my dear ones, have been growing your own strategies of belief that differ, and it is these that are warring. It is these that you see come together in cataclysms on a surface level, such as in protests simply over physical differences and cultural differences, over economic disparities and differences, over belief systems and differences in beliefs and even that which you call sciences. So you see tension in all areas of the arena today. And again, I will bring your attention to the fact that on your planet it is widely common to use fear as a tool, and so you will see fear mostly, and fear is all coming up to the surface. The darkness is coming up to the light because the light is here because of every one of you. Many of you feel that you are here on purpose because you are. Many of you feel that there is more than meets the eye because there is. Many of you feel that there's a greater purpose here and with each of you because that is true. And in human history and in your species evolution, you have been working through the physical realm, which requires action and manipulation. You are in a time period of quickened learning called the convergence by our first speaker, in which things are moving more rapidly, and you are understanding the true nature of creation, which is much bigger than physical manipulation. In the coming years, there will be much discovered in terms of your DNA structure and the history of DNA and human evolution. And what exciting times that will be when we discuss that further then. We are all pleased with this session, and we wish you much peace and happiness, and to try not to worry as much as you can throughout your day-to-day beingness, because you are here on purpose, and those that leave the planet leave on purpose, and all is well, and we are all here for you and for those who cross over as well. Rest assured and worry not, and take care of yourselves, loved ones, for we are here for you, and we will continue to make contact with you until you are ready to see us face to face. Perhaps one more voice? Yes, we will keep this very short. We can be understood as the Arcturian Council. We are made up of many members, and we will keep identities out of this for now and just simply call ourselves the Arcturian Council. And we are here as a somewhat, we hesitate to say physical experience, but we are closer to you than your understanding of what you call the other side. We are here in form and in manifestation just like you, and we are here surrounding your planet, and we would like to further confirm what was just stated about the presence of many beings who are here to assist you in your development. While there might be those that exist still with nefarious intent and means of controlling the planet, that just simply will not work anymore. And should those that slip through the cracks, we find them and we deal with them accordingly. So you do not need to worry about infiltration. What you need to be worried about is not even the other humans on your planet, but yourself. And primarily, when it comes to other humans, your view of other humans. Because where there is nastiness outside, there is nastiness within. And this is not about blame or telling you that you are inadequate. Those feelings may arise within you because of the nature of your DNA and the nature of human history. But you are not inadequate and there's nothing you are doing wrong. We are simply here to tell you that if you desire the solutions that you are seeking, you must come first within alignment with yourself. And if you are expecting your governments and leaders and those with what you perceive to be power and economic wealth to change, you must first change your beliefs about them. This is easier said than done. We second Adama's words of bringing you love and light, and we recommend you explore these avenues of love and light and personal exploration, personal strength and solidarity. That which you fight against will bring about fighting. That which you accept will bring about acceptance. The resources on your planet are vast, and indeed there are limitless resources that surround your planet. We are here and we are ready to assist your nations and technologies and sciences and religions to further their compassion and understanding of the nature of reality when the time is appropriate. Until then, we reach those of you who are ready to hear us at this time in manners such as this, and we are contactable as well. We do recommend that if you are interested in connecting with us, to make sure that you are connecting with yourself first, and to not always trust what you hear. And if any beings that you connect with are telling you to do something that you don't want to do, we recommend stop talking to those beings. If it is assistance that you are inquiring about, hold steadfast to your desire for assistance, and those of us that are here for this purpose will make ourselves known to you in symbols and signs and in your dreams, and with some of you with direct connection, such as this. We would repeat, though, that always trust your heart and mind and instincts, and do not always trust what you hear. Question everything, and it is through that and through experience of life that you come to know yourself. Thank you very much for this time and letting us speak. We all would like to thank you for this time, and good luck on your journeys, and we are here for you. Many blessings.